Another thing that most people may not realize, in the last 60 days, there are two research papers that came out. One was published in Nature, and one was in Cell. And both of them showed that they looked at 20 different types of tumors in the body. Breast tumors, they looked at the colorectal cancer, and they looked at the lung cancer, they looked at the kidney cancer, they looked at the prostate cancer, and they're starting to find that there is a unique microbiome inside the tumor. Think about that for a second. The microbes inside the tumor. Now, it is not, people say, oh, how can that be? But what's really happening is, as our gut becomes permeable, our gut microbes, and when we have a leaky gum, that means inflamed gum, guess what's happening? Now the oral microbiome is going into your blood. And by the way, this is also one of the papers that we just published last week on aging. And one of the top predictor of aging was our immune cell T cells, the CD8 T cells. What we saw was, as we age, our CD8 T cells are becoming less prolific and they're becoming exhausted. Now, there are a couple of reasons why that could be. What if it's happening because there is a low-grade chronic bacterial and viral infection coming from our gut and mouth? As we are inflamed happening, our immune system cannot deal with that because a constant influx of this coming in. And then when immune system can't deal with that, they go to the blood-brain barrier, inflames that, and that becomes permeable. Now you have infection in the brain, and the glial cells are actually releasing the amyloid beta, trying to contain the infection, and it's causing the Alzheimer and dementia and Parkinson's. So if we start to think about when the organisms are there and immune system can deal with that, you get it go into the lung and every other place. And now they form the symbiotic relationship with the local tissues there. And remember, these organisms are commensal. That means our immune system thinks they are good guys. They are part of us. So it doesn't attack them. So when they're inside the cancer tumor, cancer in body basic immune system say, "Ow, it's one of us," and let the cancer grow. In one case, in the pancreatic cancer in mice, this professor at NYU thought, wait a sec, there are all these organisms inside this pancreatic tumor. What if I inject the antibiotics directly into the tumor? It killed the bacteria. Guess what happened? Within days, the immune system killed the cancer. So basically, the organisms were protecting the cancer. Right? So imagine now, sooner or later, we will be able to, in fact, come up with a unique vaccine for each cancer, because there's a unique microbiome for every tumor that is protecting that tumor, because different microbes go into different organs where they actually form the symbiotic relationship. So you could have a vaccine for colorectal cancer, a vaccine for pancreatic cancer, a vaccine for these. And ultimately, what if we can, before we even go there, what if we can strengthen our gut lining to begin with, strengthen our oral hygiene, so there is never the leakage. So you can prevent it from happening, but people who have already gone down that path, they can have a vaccine to reverse it. But our goal would be that our children and grandchildren never, ever have cancer. So in my opinion, in a decade or so, our grandkids are going to look at you, say, "Grandpa, in your days, people were dying from these diseases. You mean people just didn't know what to do? You mean they just lost their memories and you thought it was okay? And people just had cancer and we gave them the rat poison and thought some magical thing was going to happen? What kind of people were you guys?" It's like us thinking about people used to put leeches on them. It's like, oh my God, how gruesome. But that's what we do. When we put a rat poison in our body, it's no worse than putting a leech in our body.
I'd say leeches are actually probably more helpful than the rat poison. The rat poison is really deadly. Leeches, okay, you can still get through that, and there's some purpose on it too. But you're making so much sense here in that I find that the research is catching up to a lot of what we knew and probably understood. And we will look back one day, and I don't know if we'll call it barbaric, but we'll say, oh man, like you said, in a few generations, you used to do that, really, and you used to have these problems. And I agree that something that we've seen at the center a lot that goes completely unnoticed beyond the microbiome and dysbiosis in the gut is also localized infections in the gums or the teeth. that constantly create a little bit of inflammation. Immune system is off, then the gut goes off, one or the other, and then you have a host of chronic diseases. And until you address that, you will always have it no matter what you do.